Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Uh, I hope you are able to see my screen and hear my voice. So I'll start from what we have done yesterday. Then we'll move on to today. Our topic will be on attributes and what is attributes and how the attributes are used. We start from that. Yesterday we completed what understanding of what is block elements, what is inline elements. This is what we have done yesterday. So this is very important from the layout perspective. For example, there are if I consider the design, web design, there are two components. One is application design, another is web design. Web design, you use mostly default HTML variables. If you are using additional packages, that is, we will support that. So usually for web page designs, you can go through webflow.io. Webflow.io is a drag and drop candidate where you can design your web pages, etc. So it has a free account as well. If you want, you can try. That's a pure web page design. Second is application design, where the most of the demand in the market. Like web page design, you can see that 10,000 rupees you will get the web page done, etc. You will see a lot of advertisements, etc. Right, with one payment gateway, they will finish it for 10,000 rupees, and that is the market for that. But if you want to do it professional, it is different. If you want to do it for a smaller organization, very small shop, where you want to integrate with the one payment portal, and today that payment integration is also become very simple because you have the UPI, right? Because of the UPI, you just scan the QR code, your job is done. So it has become so simple. So you don't have to go through the old tradition of payment gateway and all. So anyway, so that process is a website, pure HTML. The another concept is called app design. App design is generally a professional. That is where we are all now. The full stack development is for the app design, not very much focused towards the web design. Okay, we very much focus towards the app design. When it comes to app design, today the trend, or today the leading, we call it as technology, is this one: Angular Material, Vue.js, or React.js. These three are the front end driving guy. Backend is Node.js. This is the trend that is available. Don't confuse here with Python or C sharp or anything. The competitors today in this market is either you have a this one, a PHP application is there, good amount of PHP application that is mainly towards web design. The PHPs are mainly towards web design. Java is the another candidate who is into app design concept. But Java is a pure overhead. For example, if I'm developing an application with say 10 screens, etc., with a normal flow, my build size, if I do it in Node.js, will be 3 MB or 4 MB. That's all. Whereas if I do it in Java, it will be 100 MB or 200 MB. That is the overhead we are talking about, right? The memory also, because this Node.js technology is used like a REST API concept. We'll come to that as we go. So our entire HTML development, or the HTML, is from the perspective of app design. Even though it supports web design as well, we take you through app design mode. So whatever is not used for app design, we may not give more focus towards that. That is what I meant. So in all this concept, understanding of block elements and understanding of inline is very critical, right? That is very critical. Without that, you cannot develop a UI, effective UI. So UI development, full stack development means you are supposed to be aware of UI as well. So UI includes multiple things. One, minimum area. Area is restricted for us. How many content I can see, and legible. It should not be like collapsed mode, or it should not be what you call easy to read. It should be easy to read. That means organizing that elements is a plays an important role. None of the teaching will help you on that. It is your own understanding of the product, your own understanding of how effectively which component is used more, which component is used less. All that, it is your awareness. Knowledge of HTML need not be sufficient for all that. It is purely your exposure, your passion towards that domain. How you want to make the end user's life easy. That is the only core objective you should have, and you should proceed with that concept. So that is very important. For all that, this block element and inline element plays an important role. We should not combine H1 as a inline element. Then you are into trouble, right? So you have to be very careful of how you combine the elements. How do you group the elements, right? Any block elements can use inline elements. There is no problem in that. That means within the tag of block element, you can use inline elements. For understanding that, you need to know about attributes. So we'll come to attributes now, then we move on. Any questions as of yesterday's class? Do you have any questions? Can you please let me know if you have any questions? Recording session is not open in Open Mentor portal. Recorded videos, I think it is there. Rajesh or somebody will reply on that. How to get the recorded videos of yesterday's class? It is all available. I think it is all already broadcasted. You can go through that. Can you just give a glance of yesterday's class? Already we have only 40 minutes. Please go through the video. In 40 minutes, if I give a glance of yesterday's class, it is there. It is gone. Anyway, we'll move on. So there is no questions. So we'll move on. Now I'm going inside the attributes. So what this attributes is all about? What is this means? So attributes are basically is used to define the characteristics of the HTML element. So I said HTML element is starting tag and end tag. Between whatever the component is there, that component we call it as a element, HTML element. HTML element starts with the starting tag, ends with the ending tag. So attribute is used to define the characteristics of the HTML element. What is characteristics? For example, I want to give a ID to that element, unique ID. That ID is nothing but an attribute, right? I want to give an ID to the element. The ID is nothing but an attribute. I want to define the class. When I say class, that is nothing but a style sheet. So I use the word class. Class is also in characteristics of an HTML element. So whether you will percolate into the subgroup or you will percolate only to that HTML element, those kind of things, that is what is part of your exercise as we proceed, right? You have to do a lot of research on that. So CSS itself is a huge task. Okay. So HTML element, characteristic of an HTML element is given through the attribute. There are two things. One is it is always any attribute, it always goes with the name and name value pair. So name has to be there and then value needs to be given. So name is the property you want to set. Value is the property, is nothing but you are given that to that attribute name. So attribute can be ID. ID can be say upscale 1. Upscale 1 can be a value. So name can be an attribute. Where it is used, how it is managed, these are all we'll see as we go. Right? So this is what the attributes is all about. Attributes is nothing but characteristics of a HTML element. Attribute names, attribute values are case insensitive. However, World Wide Web, that is W3C recommends lowercase. Always attributes values are in lowercase. Okay, so there are two things here. when we are passing the value that you are passing is always case sensitive. Passing the value to the code beginning. That I'll come to when we touch about events. I'll come to that. Our plan is attribute we complete, then we take the CSS because that comes as a style attribute. A style is also another attribute. Then we move on to CSS. Once we finish CSS, we come to the events. Okay. So common attributes are ID, title, class, style. These are all the common attributes that is used. There are custom attributes also generally defined when it comes to the packages, app designs. Designs, you may have a custom attributes also. We'll talk about that as we go nearer to that. So right now, what you need to understand is the attributes are ID, title, class, style. Class requires CSS file. So we will talk about ID and title immediately and style sheet. These three we talk about today. Class, once we take the CSS, complete the CSS, we'll come back to CSS and class are closely associated. So that will be done tomorrow. So we'll take ID, title, style sheet. So this is what we are going to take. Any questions? Please let me know before I move on to the Notepad++. Any questions? Please let me know. BR means what it represents. It's a break. It's basically a break. It is a line break. I'll give you an example when I take the class now. I'll give an example on that as well. Right? Answers is given already. I hope that is sufficient. Okay. Difference between strong and bold. Bold is generally 500 font size. The font, not font size, font weight 500. Strong is generally 700. Font weight is 700 for strong. Bold is 500. So what is font weight and all? When we come to the CSS, we'll explain it more because there we do the font family. We'll understand the font family, etc. At that time, we'll talk about that as we go. So that is it. So I'll now move on to. I'll just open yesterday's one of the class notes and then I copy paste for today. I'll remove all the contents. I'll start with only header, title and body. All other contents I'll remove. And I hope yesterday you all practiced almost all elements that is there. I saved this as class notes too. Class 3 HTML1. Okay, .html. I'm just saving as this file. Okay. I hope you practiced yesterday on blocked contents and this one. So I'll just take an example like this. Now I'm trying to give you more about how that break is used, right? Break a tag. So if I just go with, assume that I'm going with para, say hello, how are you? I'm closing the para here, but I want to add some more content to the para, but I want to add it in the next line. So that is answer to that question. So I give a break. Usually breaks are, there is no end character. So we generally close the tag within the same tag. How are you? I am fine. Within the para, I want to break the line. Please remember this. Within the para, I am breaking the line. Right? So cancel this. I saved it already. I opened that through File Explorer. Google Chrome. You can see here, hello, how are you? I am fine has come into the next line. See, please remember HTML, there is no end of line character or anything. End of line wrapping is different, end of line is different. In this case, after how are you, I am forcing the end of line. So it is coming to the next line, right? As I said, inline components, there is no line break. There is no line break for inline components. For example, a paragraph is a block candidate. I am using a span, which is an inline candidate. It's an inline candidate. Say I am fine. So how about you? So I'm just using an inline candidate now. So I save it. I given some 3 spaces here. Uh, there is a space between this and this. There is a space I just given here. Let us see how it works out to be. If you don't understood the basics, you will have a challenge when you are going with advanced session. I am fine. How are you? I am fine. How are you? There is, you can see it is in the same line because the span is an inline candidate, right? I have given some 3 or 4 spaces, but it's of no use. I'll just give it without a space. Let us see. You can see there is no difference. No difference on the space that you give here. So if you really wanted to give a space, there is called ASCII characters. INB, NBSP, I think NBSP with the semicolon. These are all also, there are some specific characters you can use like a rupiah symbol, right? A dollar symbol. You can use this kind of ASCII codes. We'll come to that little later. Let us not confuse now. So the one that I have given it is for space, basically. So all HTML tags are not, there is no line breaks. Line breaks, that is why we again and again specify block content, inline content, block content, inline content. So more of that we'll see it once we get into the CSS. Okay. Now we talk about attributes. Let us start with attributes. I want to apply a comment line now. Because I want to start a new session. So I want to apply a comment line. Comment line always starts with exclamatory mark with double hyphen, then ending tag with double hyphen. Inside this, whatever you write, it is called comment, right? Learning attributes, right? So learning attributes, I have given inside that. What it means is this line will not be visible in the actual browser. You will not see that line here, but it is part of your code, but it is not visible here. That is what it is all about. So it is only a comment. It is purely a comment. Comment is for making people, when third party comes and sees your code, they need to understand what this code is all about. Commenting is very important from the professional thing. Giving a comment is always advantageous, but where to give comment, at what section you need to give comment, you have to carefully do that, because it is all, there is called indentation, all that you have to uh, carefully handle. So now learning attributes. So any as per the, you all might have heard about automation, right? You have you heard about automation anywhere? Right? That automation, if you want to do, if you want to have an effective automation, you should able to identify the element uniquely. If you are not able to identify the item uniquely, it is very difficult to have a effective automation. So the developer's job is to ensure that HTML IDs are given and it is given unique. How do you give? That is all left to you. So now if I give one more paragraph, now this is also a paragraph element. This is also a paragraph element. I don't know how to differentiate between these two. That is where the ID attribute is used. ID equal to IDs are within quotes is always used, right? Whether it is number, whether it is a string, we always use within quotes. Within quotes, ID value can be say P2, para 2. Here, ID can be ID equal to para 1, P1. So this is only to identify the element within the HTML. There is no change to the UI. That is Chrome browser. ID element will not have any reflection in the UI, but it is able to identify paragraph as ID. I'm just below, I'm just giving. IDs are always represented by hash. When it comes to the CSS, ID is represented by hash, and IDs are always unique within the HTML. Within the HTML, ID has to be unique, and IDs are represented in HTML context using hash. This you will understand more about this hash when it comes to jQuery or JavaScript query that we'll use as part of the scripting. This any HTML, if you are able to identify the element with unique ID, that will be great. Second, paragraph, I just give my para. I close the tag. Please note that I'm not putting it as P2 here. It is only P because P is the recognized tag. ID is only recognized to identify the element with this ID. The word ID means it is unique. Second, so my param, it is at the global level. So there can be a grouping candidate. Div. Please note I am typing, I am not doing a cut and paste. You all have to practice by typing. Don't do cut and paste. Right? Whether you are learning from Google website or anywhere, you type. Don't use cut and paste. Cut and paste will not enable you to remember the syntax first. You will put instead of forward slash, you may put backward slash. You will do the mistakes that you are not expected to do if you are not practicing well. Right? Div. So inside div as such, it doesn't have any meaning for layout. It is only for making sure you are with a grouping candidate. Generally, div has to go with any one of the listed candidates. So in our case, I'll go with what I call it as say H3. Let me go with H3. So I can give a ID here as well. So H3 one element, and I can go ID as well here, div one element, right? So this is also possible. So H3 one, I'll just close the tag. H3, it is closed tag, and it is heading 3, heading syntax 3. This is the thing that I've given. ID is being given. There is also another attribute I said about title. Title is nothing but tooltip. Title is my heading tooltip. Heading tooltip. So title is nothing but tooltip. Please note I have given it for H3, not for the div. Right? I have given it for the H3. Let us just save it, execute it. Let us see the difference. Right? Let me go through it, execute it. So if I mouse over on heading 3, you can see a tooltip. Are you able to see it? Right? Title is nothing but a tooltip. Are you able to see this? Okay. So this title div, right? H31, all this are attributes. The ID is an attribute, title is an attribute, right? Now I just want to give a red color to this heading. I want to give red color to the heading. Alignment. Another is alignment. I'll just take alignment. Align is there. I don't know whether it will work or not. Let me just check. Align is there. I call it as center. PRE, or I call it as end. Uh, Start, not start. Left, right. I call it as right. Not center or end. It is aligned right. Let us see what it does. Let us see what it does. That is also an attribute. Align is also an attribute, but in modern trend, they made it as, you can see it. I hope you are able to see that heading 3 in the right hand side corner. But in nowadays, we are not using that align as part of the attribute. It is part of the style sheet. Okay, but you can see that it has gone to the end. Are able to, right? So please let me know if you have any questions. Align, generally there are three things that is followed. Align is having, one is right, one is middle. Now middle, there is no middle, it is center. It is center. Third is left, left align. Left, center, right. Okay. So that is the align. I just saved it. I go to the Chrome. You can see here heading 3, heading 3, heading 3. Right, center, left. Right. So this is how attributes are used. Previously, a lot of things were part of attributes, but in the modern technology techniques, they made everything to be part of CSS and limited the attributes. Attributes is limited to ID, title, and style sheet class files. It is limited to that. All other align, everything has moved to the so-called style sheet. Now we are going to see the style sheet. Okay, so any questions, please let me know. I'll just go through the questionnaire before I take up the other things. You can feel the difference in terms of. I think that once again explain the attribute. I think attribute is clear. It is not padding, it is padding. Attributes name value pair. Yes, span. Is it screen visible? Somebody says screen not visible. Uh, is it screen visible? Please confirm. Break is a self-closing tag. It is supposed to be with br slash. It is a self-closing tag. Okay. My heading tooltip is not visible. If it is not visible, please try it at here because it may be the Zoho issue. Zoho is not showing the tooltip. Please try to see it in your practice. For me, it was visible. What is self-closing tag? Self-closing tags are like BR is a self-closing tag. HR, that horizontal rule. Horizontal rule is the name HR. That is nothing but horizontal line. That's a self-closing tag. So input is a self-closing tag. So these are all self-closing tag. That means there is no value to that. You cannot give a value inside that tag. That means what I mean is I cannot do it like this. BR, my value, right? And then BR. It is not allowed. There is nothing. It doesn't have any meaning. He may not give an error, but it doesn't have any meaning. So BR is either you give it as a BR or you give it as a BR with a self-closing tag. That's it. Either only with this is acceptable, or with this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. So that is what self-closing tag is all about. It doesn't have any meaning to there is no value to it. So value means any between the tag, whatever you give is the value. So that value it doesn't have. Like the same way for horizontal rule, HR. HR also is a self-closing tag. It doesn't have any meaning. You just give that, it is sufficient. Like doc type, it is a self-closing tag. You just give this, enough, sufficient. So that is what it is. Now we are going into the style. Style is a major, it is a heart of entire HTML. The style attribute. I'll use the div, right? I use the div. I close the div also. And div is not a self closing tag. Generally, div is not a self closing tag. So there is a value can be given or there can be grouping can be done. So in div, if I put a style is an attribute. Style, I can have multiple values within an attribute using semicolon as a end point, end of line, end of candidate. So first let us see color. I want to give a color. Color, I want to give red. Red color. I am in red color. I've given as part of the div. Please note I've given as part of the red. I can also, one more thing. Very important is there can be only one tag name within the HTML element. I cannot duplicate the tag name. I cannot have a 2ID tag name within the H3. Within this element, I cannot have two ID attributes. I cannot have two title attributes. The one that appear in the last will precede over the one that has appear in the, it will not give any error, but it is not advisable. So like that style, I cannot give more styles. I cannot give like one more style here. This is not acceptable. I'll say color blue. Let us see what happens. But just for our understanding, let us see what happens. So name, this is the name, this is the value. So style always goes with color, colon, red. Color is the attribute because I can give multiple attributes. The title ID, you will give directly the value. Whereas in style, you need to give which attribute you want to set in the style. Style has lot of properties. Your height, weight, width, right? Your color. Everything is an attribute. So you need to, this is also act as an attribute. So I have given style in 2 columns, which is not acceptable. Let us see which is he accepts. Is there either a first one or a second? Let us see that. So I am in red color. The blue color is of no use because he has skipped it. So he has not used it. Now I just want to put one more. One more means semicolon. Semicolon is the end of that attribute. I am giving now font size. Font size 20 pixel. So font size 20 pixel. It supports percentage, sorry, EM. EM, there is one parameter called EM and it supports pixel. It supports, I think, percentage. All this he supports as a value. Instead of PX, he supports EM as well. There is all different units that is followed. We just follow pixel for time being. Let us not worry about others. You can see now. I am in red color is showing in a bigger font. I'll put it under 32 pixel. 32 pixel. Save it, refresh the page. You can see that. So the font increases. So the font is also controlled through font size. Right? Color is controlled through color parameter. This they call it as a parameter or you call it as an attribute. Previously, color also part of the main attribute. Now, other than ID, title, everything is brought into the style sheet, right? Because representing a CSS and this becomes easier. So font size, I'll say font weight. Font weight. Please remember font hyphen size, font hyphen weight. How do I know all this? Google. It has all the attributes he is having. Or if you want more help, you go to the Google Chrome, right click, inspect element. In inspect element, you just select that element. You can see here, if I put here, if I type, you can see all that. All these are possibles. If I start with A, all these are possible. So many elements are there, attributes are there. So that is why you are able to present the web page in the way you want. There is no standard. There is no that this is the way. There is a restriction. No restriction at all. You can do whatever you want. Right? I can even control the scroll bar to the right. Everything is possible. These are all the possible things that is available. So if I somebody asks padding, right? I can give a padding. I'll give it as part of here. I'll give a weight, font weight 700, bold. That is strong, right? There is no pixel or anything. Then comes padding. Padding is there, margin is there, padding bottom, padding left, padding right, padding top. All these are supported. If I give padding, I need to give 4 values. 0 pixel, if I padding, if I say 100 pixel, so 100 pixel is for top, 100 pixel is for side, 100 pixel is for bottom, 100 pixel is for left. If I give only one parameter. And today exercise, you need to understand more about padding, more about margin. So in your today's class, you call it as practice session, you learn more about this. 100 pixel semicolon, sorry, 100 pixel by 10 pixel. That means, right, now if I only give to top, the first one represents top and bottom. The second one represents left and right. Second one represents left and right. If I give only 2, right? If I only give 3, I want you to experiment. If I give 4, top, right, bottom, left. This is for top. This is for right. This is for bottom. This is for left. If I give all the 4, right? So it is nothing but padding left, padding right, padding bottom, padding to the left. I remove all this now. I just give 100 pixel. Let us see how this I am in red color is shown. I saved it. Sometimes you will not save it, but you expect that to work. You can see here. 700 I have given. Right click, inspect element. You can see here. If I open the padding, padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left. This is the easiest way to understand how browser understood what you have given. This is the way browser understood what you have given. This is the way you can also understand how browser works. I can change it here also. It changes for that particular moment. Okay. So this is what padding. So we have seen ID, title, align. Align is not used, but I just shown you align. Second, third is style. Style is nothing but multiple attributes are put together underneath style attribute. So tomorrow we'll be starting with the CSS. I want you to practice more on this attributes, especially style attribute. I want you all to practice more. Every day you need to practice this for your more understanding, more clarity. Okay. Any questions? Please let me know. Different spans are generally a grouping candidate, as I say. It doesn't, as such, it doesn't have any characteristics. It doesn't have anything. It is a blunt. It is a blunt. Anything you want to give it to the div or span, you need to specify through span or something. What I mean was, if I put H1, you can see a bold letter. If I put H2, you can see a formatted. All these are formatted candidates. Whereas div and span is not a formatted candidate. It is only a dummy candidate. It whatever you type, it will take. The emphasis of div is assigned through the attributes. Okay. Tooltip is nothing but when you mouse over, people represent you with some hint. You can use that tooltip for that. So title is used for that. You class attribute and ID attribute, you cannot compare. These two are two independent things. ID is used to identify uniquely the element. ID, but class is not generally used for that. Class is basically, that is what CSS we are going to learn tomorrow. There you will learn more, understand about CSS. Div attributes, as I said, it is only a blunt. It has nothing, no attributes associated unless otherwise you give it for it. It is like a tie, or you can say what do you call, in all your purchase, like cloth. When you want to purchase a cloth, there you will see a uh, right one. What do you call him? One big man standing there, right? You will put him attributes, that is shirt. Then only he's having a meaning. Otherwise, it doesn't have a. That doll doesn't have a meaning, right? In front of your any garment store you see, you will have a different dolls, and they will put some garments. That is attributes. Div is like that. It is empty. It is not having anything. Whereas H1 tag is by itself, it has a meaning. DD tag, it has a meaning. DL tag, it has a meaning. DT tag, it has a meaning. That's what is all about. Tables will cover after CSS. We'll come to the tables, because once you understand that, then only you can perform more activity as a table. Tables has a lot of complexities. It is having rows, columns, right? There are so many attributes comes into tables. So we cover CSS. Those are all basic components, like we covered style sheet. We cover CSS. Once the basic components are done, then we'll integrate. While integrating, we start covering the tables. Tables having lot of features, because that is what is important for the layout. Okay. So that's it from my side. Whatever I've done today, I'll just copy paste it in the class here. Question and answer session. You can take it outside from here. I will leave it to now the practice team. So Priyam, Bihar, Birami, they are all there, and can recording can be stopped.